Today, we're not just reading history, we're running a diagnostic on it. We are decompiling the official narrative of one of history's most famous emperors, Charlemagne, and we're hunting for bugs in the code.
So let me ask you something. Is the historical record this perfect, unchangeable file? Or is it more like a program, one with vulnerabilities and exploits? Today, we're investigating a very strange anomaly in the data, a glitch in the timeline that makes you wonder if our version of the past, well, if it's been edited.
Okay, let's dive right in. Our investigation kicks off with a really suspicious gap in the source code of royal history. It's a null value that once you see it, you just can't ignore. So the source material points to something really bizarre. After a whole series of incredibly powerful rulers, you've got Charles Martel, Charlemagne, Charles the Fat, Charles the Simple, the name Charles just vanishes. For centuries, this supposedly super popular name completely disappears from the command line of European royalty. And you can see it right here. This visualizes that historical black hole we're talking about. You see the early kings named Charles and then this massive void. It's not a pause, it's like a system crash for one of the most important names in European history, and it lasts all the way until the 13th century. We're talking over 300 years. Think about that. Not one single king in any major European dynasty was named Charles. The source calls this inexplicable, and you know what? It is. Can you imagine if the name Elizabeth had just vanished for 3 centuries after Queen Elizabeth I? It just doesn't compute. This is our first major system anomaly. Okay, so this first glitch is not just some random bug. It's actually a breadcrumb trail, and it leads us to something much deeper, a much more systematic pattern. We're talking about a repeating echo in the historical code, a recurring subroutine that calls up the same data sets centuries apart. So the data starts to show us these 2 kings, both named Charles I, both called the Great, with some uncanny similarities. On one side, you have the legendary Charlemagne, king of the Franks. On the other, Charles of Anjou, a powerful king from the 13th century. Are we looking at 2 separate files here, or is this just a classic copy-paste error? And this is where it gets really strange. The key events in their lives, they mirror each other with this startling precision. I mean, look at this. Both were crowned by the Pope in Rome on Christmas Day. Charlemagne in the year 800, Charles of Anjou in 1266. The events are basically identical, just separated by this specific gap in time. And the pattern doesn't stop there. It continues right up to their deaths. Charlemagne dies in 814, Charles of Anjou dies in 1285. The difference? Exactly 471 years. This isn't just a coincidence, right? This is a fixed interval. It's like a constant in an algorithm. And look, this wasn't a one-off thing. As this timeline shows, the pattern just keeps going. The reign of King Louis II, starting in 843, has a direct parallel 471 years later, with King Louis IV in 1314. The source maps out multiple historical echoes, and they all lock on to that same 471-year interval. The system is literally running the same script, twice. So, where does this leave us? What if these echoes aren't just coincidences? What if they're actually artifacts of a deliberate chronological exploit? A hack designed to create a phantom history. The source actually proposes the exact algorithm that could be responsible for this. You take a date, you add 1,000, then you subtract 529. And what do you get? A 471-year jump into the past. This formula, if you apply it to a real date like 1285, produces the ghost date of 814. It suggests our timeline might have been, well, artificially padded with junk data. And this is what the source calls a phantom reflection. The theory here is that figures like Charlemagne, they aren't the original data files. They're reflections or ghosts of later kings, duplicated and just projected backwards into this made-up dark age. Now, if these guys are just phantoms, you'd expect the reflections to leave some kind of trace, right? You can't just copy a file without leaving some metadata behind. The source claims we can actually find this forensic evidence in the physical portraits, the coins and statues they left behind. Okay, take a look. On the left, a coin they say is Charlemagne. On the right, a tomb statue of Charles of Valois from the 13th century. The analysis points to some striking similarities, the same round face, same features. Is this coin really a portrait of a 9th century emperor, or is it his 13th century reflection? And the pattern just keeps going.
Here we have a statue of Charles Martel, supposedly Charlemagne's grandfather, next to a statue of Charles of Anjou. The source notes the same edgy face, the sharp nose and chin, even the identical haircut. I mean, it's a near-perfect match. It really makes you think. Was the ghost grandfather just modeled directly on the real king from the 13th century? And the biographical data? Well, that adds a whole other layer to this. Charlemagne's father was Pippin. Charles of Valois was Philip. The source argues Pippin is just an old version of Philip. Charlemagne's mother was Bertha. Charles's was Elizabeth, which is also Beta. It's like they used the same character profiles, just, changed a few of the variables. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just one isolated bug affecting a single character file. The source argues it's a feature of the entire historical operating system, one that's built on templates copied from even older narratives. Believe it or not, the source code for the entire Carolingian dynasty seems to be a direct copy of the story of biblical Israel. The first king, Pippin, is anointed like Saul. He's followed by the great warrior Charles, who echoes David, and then the legislator Louis, echoing Solomon. And what happens after the third king in both stories? The empire gets divided. It's the exact same plot structure.
And this pattern of copying code, it just keeps repeating. This diagram maps Charlemagne's life onto the Roman Emperor Augustus, but with a precise 800-year offset. Key life events, birth, rise to power, coronation, death, they all align perfectly, just shifted by 8 centuries.
So what's the big takeaway here? The source argues that Charlemagne, he isn't one historical person. He's a composite character. His biography is basically a script that was constructed from the data of multiple later figures pasted onto narrative templates borrowed from King David and Emperor Augustus. He is, for all intents and purposes, a historical avatar.